you'd gain open space where the old pool and bathhouse is going. You get a nice view of the pond, which I think is the center focal piece of the park. I agree, John. I would much prefer to see it on the northwest side of that path. That's for sure. Quick question, Mike. I'm a bit of a, I like trees. You got a lot of pine trees there just on right across from the town hall. That's sort of where that pool is going to be. And is the plan for them to go away? And if so, is there a plan to kind of replace them somehow?
Yeah, the design team will have a landscape architect on the team who will save every tree possible. And one of the early concepts was to create a streetscape sort of tree pattern around the perimeter of the park to identify it as park. So we'll certainly be adding trees, and we'll certainly save whatever we can. We're not going to be right up tight to the street, so my sense is that we'll be able to save all or most. But the landscape architect will really go to work to tag them and make sure we save what we can save. Ideally, we wouldn't remove any, we'd add some.
Is that 36-inch main, just to clarify, is it I'm kind of looking at a separate one that I'm zooming in on, and is it in that little triangle just to the left of the pond? Is it splitting right down the middle there? Is that where the main is?
Yeah, it follows, as you head north, it follows the path past the old pool to the apex of the pond, and then kind of turns at about a 30-degree angle west and heads down towards the street. So it pretty much bisects that triangle.
Okay.
Yes. Well, that pretty much eliminates putting the pool there, I would think.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's not just the 36-inch main, there's a 20-foot right of way straddling it.
So basically we're at square one as far as the pool placement.
Well,
so let me just finish. I would like to revisit rebuilding the pool where it exists now. I know Bill doesn't like the idea. It's been there for 60 years though, and I don't see a defect in its location. So I don't like the idea of it anywhere on the street side of the park. It's going to block the view. So I'm just throwing this out there because we are at square one. I'm only one vote though, so I'm just throwing it out there. Obviously, it's not going to go at that north end of the pond. So,
wasn't it discussed at a previous meeting? Excuse me, that nobody would recommend putting a pool in that same location. Am I remembering correctly, or am I not remembering correctly?
Bill did say that, but I question it only because it's been there for 60 years. There's something about the hydrology there, or the groundwater pushing up, but I would question that only because it's been there for 60 years. So,
well, Mike, what do you say?
well, I think we could build a pool anywhere and make it hold up. It's just, it costs a lot more to do it in that kind of soil. But there's a whole other kind of rationale for locating the pool. If you go back to the early design phase, we came up with 4 plan options, 4 different locations for the pools with advantages and disadvantages. So I think when we get into a design process, that's where we start. We go back to the overall planning process and look at all 4 of those locations again to get consensus. And one of those locations was to rebuild where this one was. The advantage of moving it out to the street was significantly about the soils, but it was about security and not having a 2-month or 3-month operation in the middle of the park, and reactivating the pond as a central feature. So there were a lot of design elements that were discussed in addition to, the practicality of building it that close to the pond. The other thing to note is that the wetlands regulations 60 years ago are not the same as they are now. So developing on the low end that way. Up on the north end, we're actually on the high side of the topography. But to build it down into that hole again, we'll have some permitting challenges. Not insurmountable, but certainly more challenging. So I
And
think
just for the record too, Salvo notified us in writing that they will not deliver liquid chlorine to us anymore because it's too close to the pond. And they're afraid with general liability in a sue happy world that we live in, that if there was a spill, there'd be a fish kill, and they're not going to take that risk. It's not worth our business isn't worth it to them, they said.
All right, so rebuilding it in place is one option, putting it over, putting it over in a little triangle that's no longer an option was an option. What were the other two locations? I didn't see the initial study.
the other one of the other ones was to put it up in the vicinity of the existing playground and move the playground. And the fourth one was down near the soccer fields, kind of in that neck between the pond and the soccer fields.
No, you'd have the same pool issues anyway, water issues anyways.
I can tell you what.
That's all ledge in there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's ledge, and the topography is a little more forgiving in there than it is on that hillside down into the cup of the pond.
The other very, very important issue that I think Mike missed on this one is when you're in the Parks and Recreation business and you try to build a new pool, you don't want to have elected officials go through a hot summer without pool access. So the main goal for any Parks and Rec professional in this country is to build it in a different location so that you don't anger and make the residents not have a swimming ability for a whole season.
Right.
But we just went through that this year.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Mill Pond wasn't open this year,
But we opened Churchill under duress because the people went crazy, and I don't think we're going to be able to open Churchill next year. So.
But I had a question in my notes from the last meeting. Did you say that the 4 days that the pool was closed, we lost 120,000 gallons of water?
Yes.
That's a lot of water, Bill. That's 10 of my backyard pools.
It's about $40,000 worth of water.
I'm concerned about the volume.
Yep. Me too. I've seen walls of pools collapse in other towns, right? While kids are swimming.
So it wasn't, excuse me, John Bashan again. So it wasn't the expansion joints, Bill. It's the pipes under the drains, obviously the hard to get to area that are leaking.
In my recent last 8-day study, I'm thinking that way. I can't definitely say that for sure, but I filled the pool up and it went down 8 inches every day for 8 days until it got to the extreme bottom level of the deep end. That's what leads me to believe now that it's not. I first wanted to rule out the skimmers. Then I went down to the return pipes. Then I went down to the feed pipes. And then I went to the side expansion joints up the walls. And then I started saying, wait, if it's still leaking, it's got to be now the drains and the drain pipe. It's only a guess because I don't have my, x-ray vision, but that's the kind of thing we're doing right now to try to zero in on the problem.
I was basing it on what you had heard from your contractor or your consultant that said that those pipes were bad or needed repair or something.
Yeah, and that's who we're working with.
Don Donahue, Jay Batalico. I have a question for Bill.
Go ahead.
Billy, what if this goes through referendum when will he be up and running? You have any idea?
Yeah, I think, Mike, you could probably help, but if you started in the spring, you'd probably finish in the fall for the basic, facility. There might be some, depending on the weather in the winter, but Mike, is that about your guess?
Yeah, I think the goal would be to get started as soon as you can and have it open for the June of 2022 season. So you're swimming in the existing one in 21 and the new one in 22. So you target trying to wrap everything up, early that spring, so you have time to start it up and shake it out.
Well, my other question, Bill, is if this is the case, we're talking June of 2022. You're not going to open next year. We're almost guaranteed of that. No pool will open next year. Are we guaranteed of that? We can't lose that much water every 3 or 4 days. That's
the game plan is to try to figure out a temporary solution for one of the pools, at least one, to keep them open. I've seen pools close in neighborhoods, and it's not pretty for elected officials. And I don't want to put myself or them in that position if I can help it. So I'm going to come up with some type of temporary fix is my game plan. Staying optimistic.
well, when we talked, Mill Pond is definitely out of the question. We're never going to open that, correct? Do you
No,
agree with that?
no, I don't agree with that either. I'm still working with this guy and our guys to see what we can do to do a temporary fix. We've been putting 64 to 80, 90, $100,000 every spring in these pools for the last
For
5
8
years.
weeks, right?
What?
For 8 weeks.
Yep, that's right. Yep. But I do still love, I love your idea about the solar heating of the pool, and I love opening it April to October. I love that. I think was brilliant on this committee's part.
Mike, quick question. Area B, the neck that goes between the pond and soccer fields. Does it matter if that's kind of soft? Does it impact construction?
The soil types impact, but as long as we know what they are, we can design for them.
You say if it's marshy.
If it's marshy, then you end up with deep footings or wide footings, and it becomes more expensive. The pool itself is essentially a mat slab. So whatever the soils are, we over excavate, put in stone, and build a mat slab. It's the building footings that would be most impacted by bad soils.
Yeah.
But we could put a building on a beach in liquefied sand, basically, if we had to. But
the expense, Mike, the big factor when we were designing or knocking these ideas around is that area of the park also has no electricity, no utilities, nothing. So we'd have to dig deep and far, and it would add to the cost again. It always comes down to money. You can do anything you want, but you got to look at the most practical. And the most practical is where all your utilities are. Make it short run and make it easy.
Yeah, I think when you start the design process, if you go back to the original rationale, there are lots of compelling reasons to put it where it's proposed. And all of the ones we've discussed are in play. And as Bill mentioned, all of the utilities are in the street. There's also the reality of programming where Bill's camps are running across the street and can just walk across the street to the pool and the pool facility in that soft paved area and have a better connection, a better relationship to the rec center across the street. So it's better in that regard as well. So I think, nothing's a done deal. Every master plan is a living document and things change all the time. But I think if if we look at the options, the 4 that were presented, and there may be others that evolve, there are several compelling reasons for locating it up near the street.
Parking is another one, that's parking over the south end of the pond near the soccer fields is very difficult. It's not as good as on Saturdays and Sundays and evenings when people swim, to use the town hall parking lots is a good idea.
Right. An emergency access as well.
Yeah. This is my last question, I promise. The pool itself, if it was back on A and near Bartholomew, on the other side of the path, would that run parallel or perpendicular to? I think it's Bartholomew. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. The road that
Between
goes
the
up
town
to the town hall.
That's Garfield.
Garfield. Sorry. Does it run parallel or perpendicular to that?
Well, as we move it east, I'm not sure. What we want to do is make sure that we maintain sight lines to the park from Garfield Street, not just for the aesthetic, but also for police patrolling and making sure that good access, visual access from the street. So I think the building is probably perpendicular to the street, and the pool is probably parallel to the street. But all that needs to be sort of figured out.
I just wish we could see it and, see how much space it's going to take up and, blocking the view to the park.
Yeah, well, that's what the updated master plan will do that. It'll show you the layout and the building massing. So the same flavor drawings as in the previous report, just updated for the new location. So you'll know what the impacts are visually.
Right. And Bill, you were saying you're expecting some kind of federal money to be available?
I'm sorry, I missed your question. What was it?
I said, you at one of the earlier meetings, you had said you expected some kind of federal money to be available for this?
I said that I anticipated the president and the Congress putting together a government stimulus package, which they have voted on for $900 million. No guarantees, no anything. I suspect the next step would be that it would go through DEEP. But again, that's, I guess that would be a pipe dream if we got it, it'd be great. But if, I wouldn't bet on that for anything in the world because there's 50 states and, money goes quick.
All right.
John,
Mike,
Jay Vitalico,
Yes, Jay.
should we not start working on this, what we want to present to the council?
My concern is we're going to now, we're waiting for a facility study to be done. We've paid for that.
Yeah,
Okay. We had to move forward with Anna Reynolds before it was complete. It got a late start, right? There's other projects that feel they are ahead of this. I'm just cautious of, do we bring this part in front of the town council so we can say, we want to do this to be ready in case? It's probably prudent that we do that. And whatever the new cost is, 57,500 or 600.
yeah.
But do we need that official document before we can send it forward? Right? Do I need it listed out in detail before we can, make a proposal or a recommendation?
Don, I think the answer is yes. That's what this meeting was for, is to take
Yeah.
this next phase and present that to the council so we can get all the detail necessary for an actual construction documents. Am I right or wrong, Bill or Mike?
Yeah. I think politically, I wouldn't want to be you guys and be the people to make a decision to say no. You let the council make a decision, yes or no, up or down. And then if it's no, we walk away and we feel fine with it. You know, we did our job. We presented a problem. We presented a potential solution, and that's it. You know, if they're okay with it, everybody else has got to be okay because they're representing the town of Newington. So I think I would recommend doing that and give everyone a chance to make a decision at the council level than us killing it now and saying we made the decision for you. I don't think that's a good idea in my mind, but
Well, that's not really our charge. Our charge is to get the information to the council.
Right. That's what I would agree.
My question was whether we, not the official process, but, right now we said it's, the number here is 49,650. The new number is 57K. Do we need this piece updated before we can send it, and vote on it?
Oh, yeah, I think Mike said he was going to do that, right, Mike?
Yeah, I'll update the proposal to include the two things we talked about. Gets it to 57,150, so that you'll have a document.
John, if I may.
Go ahead.
John, are you talking about presenting the council with the master plan or with this proposed, the summary that we have tonight, the cost for the plan?
I
think
believe. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I think what you're trying to do is present the 57,150 to the council, see if they want to fund it. Then Mike goes and does his work and puts the design in the right location at the right place with the right recommendations, still working with this committee all the way through, but having much more underground information that we don't have right now. And something may pop up that, we have to turn it or change it or move it this way, move it that way. But I think we're lacking information, and this 57,000 is going to give us an opportunity, and it would give anybody in the world an opportunity. We know we're going to have to fix it eventually. It might not be this council. It might not be the next council. I don't know, whatever. The longer we wait, it's crazy, but we're going to need this survey. We're going to need the underground information for the future, no matter which way we look at it. So I say we present to the council that, hey, would you be interested in giving us the 57 grand? We're going to go out, do our due diligence. We're going to do some stuff with the committee, and then we're going to come back with pictures and design and exact locations and everything else for them to then make another final decision.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, Bill. And we're not committed to any one plan. We're just, this is just a preliminary.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I think the thing is, if they don't approve the $57,000, we're done, right?
That's correct.
We're done.
Think that's true.
Well, I don't see how they can't in a way, because as Bill said, the pool needs to be redone at
Right.
bare minimum. So we'd have to start over, I guess.
Or if they approve the 57,000, and then the master plan comes out, I mean, maybe the decision is, okay, let's replace the pool and the bathhouse and then, worry about the others later.
Right, John.
Right. So that's a possibility. That's a direction to head, because I think the pool and the bathhouse was somewhere around $6-7 million, right?
Around 8 million was. I think I would include the splash pad if you're talking phasing the project into one or two.
No, if we don't build a splash pad, they're going to bring out the crosses and it won't be.
I think what I honestly think is, I know it's tough on elected officials, but I think once we get a real good master plan put together, I think you're going to have so many groups of different people, like basketball, like kids with disabilities, soccer people, picnickers. I think you're going to find the master plan will give you all the ammunition in the world to move forward in some form or fashion. I think the more you throw in and include people of the whole town so that there's a benefit to me. If I'm a senior citizen, I want to benefit. If I'm a preschool parent, I want to benefit. If there's swimming people, I want to benefit. So I think you're going to be okay in that respect. I think you're going down the right path in methodically making this happen.
All right, so we can do what we need to do with the existing document in front of us.
I'll update it. I'll update it just so you have all the right numbers. Just to make sure there's no confusion. I'll get that to you by morning.
All right. Okay, Jeff, so you said you had some stuff prepared in case we wanted to go this direction.
Yeah, you're going to look to recommend to the town council to appropriate $57,150 for the basic services and the optional services that were discussed this evening, included in TLB Architecture's submittal dated August 14th, 2020.
So moved.
Yep.
And how about Jeff, the waiving of the something? Didn't you say something like that?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Could we have a little more discussion here before we vote on that?
Yes, you can. Actually, you need a second.
Need a second, yeah.
Okay, so hate to throw another wet blanket on here.
Excuse me, John, if I may interrupt. Who
John,
made
you
the
needed a
please?
second first.
I asked if we could discuss it before we vote.
Nobody.
Right. John, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but who made the second, please?
Woods, wasn't it?
John Woods made the motion. Who made the second to the motion, please?
I'll make it Jay Vitalico then.
Okay, thank you, John.
Now we can discuss before the vote.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if it was going to change the vote or change the specification. So my wet blanket, I said before that I like the idea of the paths and some of the other proposals of the master plan, but the more I thought about it with the wetlands and the paths through the wetlands, I don't think that's a great idea. That is it's a sanctuary, if you will. It's a natural environment. I don't know if we want to encourage more people walking through there. And so that's why I was saying, I don't know if that would affect the surveying, or I would imagine it would affect it a little bit, but it's not a lot of infrastructure that was going in there, but just those paths and just that bringing more access in there. It's really inaccessible, as the architect mentioned. It's inaccessible now, which creates that sanctuary that it is. So being on the Wetlands Commission, I don't think that's going to fly too good with them. I'm not speaking for them, but I'm just speaking for myself. And after I thought about it, when I first looked at it, I liked it. And then I started thinking a little more about it. And so I was leaning a little bit away from that. Again, just my opinion.
Right. And what's happening with this, John, is we're going to ask the town council to approve the base part. Now, when the final plan comes out,
Mm-hmm.
if we don't, if the paths through the wetlands aren't desirable, we just don't do it.
Yeah. The only reason I brought it up, before we voted on it, because I didn't know if it would affect that base price. But if it doesn't, then disregard what I'm talking about now.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, Mike Fortuna, you can answer this question. I think you also, at times when needed, will go to a Wetlands Commission meeting, explain what the ideas are, and use it as like a public forum, and we'll get their feelings before we do the final design.
Oh, yeah, long before. So typically what we would do is we'd meet with all the land use boards very early in the process, like right out of the gate, to see what's even in the realm of possibility. So we've been in front of some wetland commissions that encourage us to put walkways in the wetlands so people stay on the path and they use it for education. We've had other commissions that want us to stay as far away as possible. So every commission is different. We are certainly not looking to butt heads with any of the commissions. So we want to give you the best recreational experience, but not do so in a way that ruffles too many feathers. So we would meet with the Wetlands Commission, the Planning Commission, Public Works, Engineering, right out of the gate.
Again, the only reason I brought it up was not to try to jump ahead or predict what's going to happen in that regard, but only if it affected your quote. And if it doesn't, then again, disregard what I'm saying now.
Yeah, it doesn't, only because all of that's in area B, which is not part of it anyway.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing in here is the wetlands mapping for $1,000 in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, that's primarily around the pond where we know we're going to be doing some
Okay.
development.
Okay. All right. So disregard what I brought up.
And I did talk with Eric Hinckley about it preliminary, and he said, Mike, I didn't tell you this yet, but if you do get the wetlands design, he wants everything you're going to do. Like if you're going to do any park benches or anything, make it all one shot. So when you present it to the Wetlands Commission, they know what they're up against and what's going to be involved, and try to get them on board.
Sure. Yep, absolutely.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Garrett Havens, just to go back to something John Bashan was saying, it just occurred to me, are any of the borings going to be done? Because I know they were talking about, boring near where the bridge footings would be if they do the wetlands. So this, with what we're sending forward now, there's not going to be any borings in the wetlands, are there?
We're gonna have to avoid boring in the wetlands if when we do the layout, we determine that we absolutely need to, then we would have to get approval through the Wetlands Commission to put the rig in the wetlands.
Okay, thank you.
But we'll try not to.
Mike, that bore is only a few inches wide, right?
Yeah, I think it's a 3-inch auger.
Right.
But it's the tracks on the rig that could damage the wetlands.
As I say, it's the machine actually.
Yeah, it's a little-
Mike, do you put down, I know it's maybe the minutia, but do you put down the stuff you see that over the swamps, almost like portable bridges where the machinery can kind of go over it?
We have in the past if we need to.
Oh, but that adds cost. Okay.
That becomes typically a condition of wetlands approval.
All right.
The how you do it. But again, we're gonna avoid that because the reality is, with the exception of the bridge abutments potentially, the areas we're not going to develop anything in the wetlands that's a structure. There's the paths that we talked about, but we're not going to put any structures in the wetlands because we're going to be beyond the setbacks in the upland review areas. So we wouldn't need borings in the wetlands itself because we're not going to develop in the wetlands.
Yeah, we're 100. I think Newington is 100 feet from the wetlands. So the upland buffer, we're pretty far away from there for where the nature trails that we talked about for science and education for both seniors and the kids.
Yeah, the 100 feet's an upland review area. The actual buffer is less than that. But again, we're gonna avoid wetlands to the extent that we can.
Yeah.
Where we do anything in the wetlands, it would only be to improve them. If we have the opportunity to do that with plantings or cleaning stormwater, that sort of thing. So typically any development we do in a park affecting wetlands is to improve the wetlands, not to modify them.
So theoretically, the Wetlands Commission might be approving of you moving the pool away from that pond.
Yeah, I would think they would be, but
Depends on what day of the week it is, right?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Yeah, we can't talk for them or think for them.
yeah, every commission's different, and even any commission in any town changes as the people change. So
Exactly.
it's a snapshot in time.
Yeah.
John Bashan here. This might help the cause of not putting it back in the same spot, but is it within the upland review? Is it within 100 feet of the bank of the pond now? It looks like it would be.
It is, yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean that it can't be approved for that, but that may bolster the case for not putting it there.
Mhm. Well, we're going to be in the upland review on the north end of the pond as well.
Well, not if you push it out into that field a little further away from that sewer main.
Right.
All right, guys. Anything else?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
we need to vote.
Oh, no, absolutely. I was waiting to make sure nobody had any further comments. Okay, so, is it Jeff or, James that does the roll call vote?
You want me to take a roll call?
Yes,
All right, very good. Signify, we have a motion on the floor. And please signify your agreement by saying yes or aye. And your name is called. Mr. Bashan,
Aye.
Mr. Batalico,
yes,
Mr. Havens,
Yes.
Mr. Knowlton,
Aye.
Mr. Woods,
Yes.
Mr. Donahue.
Yes.
Mr. Donahue, your motion passes unanimously, 6-0.
Okay. Now, do we have to waive the RFP?
No, I would think at this point in time, you're just going to have TLB update the master plan for $3,000. So you're obviously not, I mean, you can if you wish, but it's not a requirement.
Okay, sorry, I'm not as brushed up on my town etiquette as I should be.
Well, $30,000 is your bid threshold. So anything over $30,000, you absolutely would need a waiver on. And if TLB is going to be your firm to develop the master plan and continue to design this project, then you absolutely will need to either do an RFP or have a bid waiver.
All right,
But at this point in time, to just update the master plan for $3,000, that's really all you're going to be paying TLB. The other items are going to go directly to the other consultants. They're not going to go to TLB. At least I don't believe they are. And so as a result, you would not need any further action at this time.
I thought we were asking the council for $57,000.
You are asking the council for $57,000, but only $3,000 of that is going to TLB. The other amount is going to your boundary survey firm, your topo survey firm, and your wetlands mapping and your geotechnical firm.
Okay, so we're gonna have to go to the council for each one of these?
No, again, you're asking for $57,000. That's going to be appropriated. And then as you wish to do that, then the town would be writing purchase orders to each individual firm that's going to be carrying out those various trades or actions. You're going to be writing out a purchase order to your geotechnical firm. You're going to be writing out a purchase order to your wetlands mapping firm. You're going to be writing out a purchase order to your land surveyor. But each one of those is going to be less than $30,000, so you're not going to need a bid waiver.
So Jeff, just so I'm clear, when we restructure this proposal, we'll break those out by firm.
Yes,
Okay. And then you'll contract directly.
right.
And we'll manage it all just for continuity.
If the town council gives us the money, then yes, then the town would be contracting directly with each of those firms.
Okay.
And we would need W-9 forms from each firm too, Mike, with the contact information to put them in the finance software program.
Sure. No problem.
It's, okay, and this is, who is going to run this project?
I was just gonna ask that. I thought that the TLB would be basically the contractor and handle all that other stuff. Now it's gonna be someone in the town that's gonna be the clearinghouse?
From my standpoint, what I would prefer, I guess, is you contract it any way you want, but we'll execute it the same as we would as if they were our consultants. So we'll coordinate it and manage it just to make sure all the information comes together.
And that'll be a line item in a final proposal? Like contract managing or general contractor, whatever you want to call it?
I was planning on doing it anyway, so I think it's just part of updating the master plan.
Okay. Awesome. I didn't want to do it.
Or Jeff would be the one stuck with it.
Yes.
Well, then it's fine. All right. So is that all we need, and we just need to have it put on the agenda?
Again, you've taken a vote, so you've made a recommendation to the council. I'll write a memo to the town manager requesting that it be placed on the agenda.
Okay.
And when that time comes, you'll probably need to speak up. You may wish to have others present, perhaps either Mr. DeMayo or Mr. Fortuna, or whomever you wish, perhaps other members of the committee, to support you in your request to the council.
All right.
I think the reason why we had the meeting today was to try to get on next Tuesday's agenda. Is that correct?
No,
No?
no, you're not gonna be on next Tuesday's agenda.
Okay.
I don't believe.
I can't remember when agenda setting is. Is it, I think it's tomorrow
It is tomorrow.
night. I mean, you could certainly, Jeff, if you want to type the letter up and, send it over there. If it makes it, it makes it. If not, we wait till the next one.
Yeah, after the minutes are done, I'll get out the memo. And so I don't anticipate that you'll be on tomorrow night's meeting, but I would think that you would probably be on you would be looking to get on the agenda in October.
Well, actually, this week is not town council. Next week is town council.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you met on the second and fourth Tuesdays.
Is it the fourth Tuesday next week? I don't, my brain is toast.
Yeah,
All
the
right, yeah,
22nd
sure.
is the fourth Tuesday. Yeah.
All right, so you're correct. I'm calendar challenged all of a sudden.
So Jeff, you don't think we could get on next Tuesday?
There is
Tomorrow's
no
the
meeting
15th.
next Tuesday.
Tomorrow's the 15th.
This is the
I'm sorry.
third. This
I'm
is
sorry.
the
It
third
is
week.
Following week.
Yeah, you may be able to get on this for the 22nd. I'll get the memo off, and if you can, you can.
That'd be great.
I'm sorry, I was thinking it was the 21st, but it's not. It's the 14th today.
Right. So that was the game plan for having the meeting today, so we could get it on next Tuesday's meeting. If that's the case, Mike Fortuna, do you available or someone in your firm available?
Sure.
It's a Zoom meeting, to the best of my knowledge. So
Yeah, it's a Zoom meeting.
Second. Yep. Okay.
all right, good.
Assuming we make it on the next town council's agenda, the next meeting's agenda, if they approve it, how quickly would they start the surveys?
Mike, you could answer that.
We can get it in the queue right away. The last thing we want to do is be surveying in the winter months. So we'd want to get the survey. If we got an approval on the 22nd, I don't want to speak for our surveyor and geotech folks unless they're still on the line, but I would think within a week or two, we can get started, get all the field work done.
Thank you.
Yeah. Giants had first and goal from the 2-yard line. Couldn't get in.
One last question, Mike, when you do the master plan, would the mapping to scale look a little bit more concise in terms of where the pool is going to be? Because I think that's a sticking point right now for a lot of folks on the panel, where a lot of people want to visually see to scale what it would look like.
Yeah. We won't update the master plan until we have the survey, so that we
Okay.
know the next thing we draw is reasonable. So we don't find ourselves back in this, oh, by the way, there's a utility line here, or, that sort of thing.
Yeah, Mike, it's going to be in the exact location. Once you draw it, it's going to be, that's what you show them, right?
Yeah, except, there's a whole design process to happen. So the committee may, opt to shift a little here or there, or,
Yeah.
get
Yep,
back
I
to,
got you. I think they're looking for how far east are you going and how close to Garfield Street is it going to be and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the decision about whether or not the baseball field is there will inform that, because if we don't have to worry about the baseball field, we might be able to optimize the sight lines from the street.
Yeah, we'll know that tomorrow night probably.
Right. So that'll be important to know. And then what we'll do is we're not going to just kind of go into our shell and draw something. We'll touch base with this committee again make sure we have some input on where we draw it so that the updated master plan has some consensus.
Okay.
And then what's your timeline on delivering the master plan if everything goes according to what you're hoping for?
I would think by, no later than Thanksgiving, hopefully sooner. Depends on how long the survey takes. I'll have to touch base on schedules. But we'll have to meet with this group at least once between now and finalizing it, maybe twice. So I would target, that whatever your meeting is before Thanksgiving. And then if we can do it quicker, we certainly will. We're almost, by the time we get approvals and get started, we're into October. Gives us 6 weeks, basically.
So if I may, John Bashan here. So the next plans we're going to see are going to show the options of the placement?
Yeah, I think what we'll do is the next meeting, we can put on the agenda to go back to the beginning. Show you all the options, how we landed where we landed. If we have consensus, great. If not, we can talk about alternatives. But that was presented with all the advantages and disadvantages, and there was consensus with the last group on putting it near the street, and maybe we get there again, and maybe we talk about another option.
When you say the last group, do you mean the last meeting or?
No, the group we did the master plan with, so Bill and his staff and
Oh, okay.
that.
Parks and Recreation, the last Parks and Recreation board also.
Mhm. Okay, sounds good.
All right. Can everyone say go Giants for me?
Not a Patriot. No, you're not going to get a Patriots fan to say that.
Who dat?
You might get a Jets fan to say that.
Hey, and Bill, I don't know if you saw the game last night, but we're not going to build SoFi Field, okay? Oh my God!
Yeah, but that
the whole park.
was private
Unbelievable.
money.
Yeah,
That was his money. $5 billion.
I just want the video board. That's all I want. All right, guys. Do we want to plan a second meeting? A second meeting. Do you want to plan another meeting now, or see where we wind up with council?
Yeah, why don't we go with the Parks and Rec board and then the council, hopefully next Tuesday, and then maybe Jeff or I can send out emails saying, you want to say tentatively, hold on for Mondays at 6:00 on, let's see, the council is the 24th, is that right?
Well, you're gonna be on, you're gonna be on new business for the first meeting, and then you have to wait for the second meeting for an approval.
Yeah, you're not going to get council action until the second Tuesday in February.
October.
Excuse me, in October.
February.
Yeah, we move slow, baby. Let me tell you.
All right, why don't we wait then, right? I think it'd be, yeah. Let's see how all this shakes out.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so I will, so Jeff, send a minute, send a letter, and then we'll see where it lands, and we'll go from there.
How about, if it's the second Tuesday of October is when they vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so what date is that?
15. No,
Okay.
13. All right.
13 plus 7 is 20. So how about tentatively, why don't we look for the following Monday, the 19th at 6:00?
October 17th.
19th, I believe.
Yeah, that's a Monday.
10/19 at 6:00.
Yeah, at the very least, we could discuss what happened and keep everyone abreast of what's going on.
All right. So that sounds like a plan to me.
Okay, good. Thank
And
you,
then,
everyone.
All right, I guess we got to vote to adjourn. Somebody make a
Motion to adjourn.
No moved.
Never a problem getting a second on
Yeah.
that one. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. See you guys later.
Good night.
Everybody.
Peace.
Thanks.
Aye.
Nay. Hey, Bill, you still there?
Hello?
Hey, Bill, it's John here.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, I was just doing the math on those numbers that you were talking about.